Hey, welcome back to the Wide Right Podcast. I'm Manny Navarro, college football writer from The Athletic. And as you can see, I'm pleased to be joined today by a couple of special guests. That'd be Mr. Ed Coleman and his son, Dereon Coleman of Orlando Jones High School. Darren is one of the best high school quarterbacks in the country in the class of 2026 and the University of Miami commitment since right around the 4th of July. Last year, as a sophomore, Dereon led Orlando Jones to the state semifinals, and now he's got Jones at 7-0 this season. Darren, I'm going to brag some more about you and how good you are in a minute, but I first want to welcome you and your dad to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, sure, no
Thanks for having
problem.
us.
My pleasure.
Yeah, so Ed, I'm going to start with you because, your son, I'm sure gets all the interview questions, but I'm going to start with dad this time, give you first crack. I watched him throw in March at the Under Armour combine up in Orlando, was just blown away about how easy he makes his passes look. It honestly reminds me a lot of the guy who's playing quarterback right now for the University of Miami. That's Cam Ward. He makes it look easy. Your son makes it look easy. But I got to ask, where does he get these incredible gifts? Is it you or mom?
Oh, he get it. He get it from me. I played quarterback. I played quarterback coming up. He most definitely get that on from me.
Now, Darian, I gotta flip it. Now I gotta ask you: Is Dad telling me the truth, or his mom got some skills too?
I mean, it's neither of them. I really get it from God, the man above.
Okay, all right, I respect it. I respect it. Hey, Miami is off to this incredible start, man. They're 7-0. Cam Ward is in the Heisman conversation. What's it been like watching this offense just cook the way that it's been cooking, and how much time do you spend sort of envisioning yourself playing in a very similar role?
I actually just got this question asked me last night. I mean, I'm really liking how the offense really going, knowing that when I get there, I'm gonna be in a good scheme and I can trust the coaches of what they got going on. Seeing that Ken Ward actually plays a lot like me, so I know when I get there, I'm gonna actually be very comfortable in what the coach is doing with me, and I can just trust him.
Yeah, I think, the one thing about Cam that I absolutely love when I got a chance to meet him and his parents at the ACC Media Days is the fact that he's a guy who basically came from nothing. He was a no star. Nobody really believed in him. They said, hey, he had all these sort of doubts about him, and he overachieved. Darren, you've been climbing the rankings, right? Like in the recruiting rankings, little by little by little. But at first, people weren't giving you a whole lot of credit. And now these last 2 years, you've been just playing unbelievable. You're one of the best quarterbacks in the country. What's it like dealing with that much attention and only being, a junior in high school?
I mean, it only just makes me be better. It just keeps me having a chip on my shoulder every time I go out there on Friday. I just know I got something to work for, work harder for it, knowing that they're thinking all these other quarterbacks better than me. I just want to show it to them that my size doesn't matter. They need to start looking at my size, look at my game and how I play.
And I wanted to ask you, you mentioned your playing career at Tampa Plant, or actually not Tampa Plant, it was Plant City, right?
Right.
Yes.
Tell me about, the first time you put the football in Darion's hand. Was he always a quarterback, or was this something that took time to develop?
It took time to develop, but when I first saw that he had the mechanics to throw it, he was throwing a baseball, and we actually tried him out in baseball. He said he didn't like it, but it to get his mechanics right, it took about 3 to 4 years uh, to get his mechanics right. I always knew he wasn't going to be the 6'5", 230-pound quarterback, so I wanted to have his mechanics polished.
Hmm.
And over that development, I saw how fast he can get the ball out. He had that fast release. And one of the other things is I put him in varsity football at the eighth grade. And one of the things I wanted to do, I mean, he was real small then. Um, just make sure that he wasn't scared of that pressure coming in. And I wanted to see how he stand and face the pressure. And he did a great job, man. And like now the game to him when I watch him play is actually slow to him.
Hmm.
It's real slow, and he comfortable in the pocket. And I mean, I love watching his pause, and that's one of the things I see that he has, like Cam Ward has
Yeah.
that pause.
Yeah, he doesn't look stressed out when you watch him in the huddle, when you watch him in the highlights. I've sat there and watched the clips, and I remember seeing him even at the camp. He was very, very relaxed amongst guys that were ranked higher than him, guys that, everybody in the country were looking at and saying, hey, what about this guy? What about that guy? And oh, here we go. Here's your quarterback coach, Balin Trujillo, joining us. He'll be back in a minute, throwing up the U for us. Uh, yeah, that was one of the things that struck me right away when I was watching him in the camp, and I think that's sort of an underrated trait to be able to be calm because let's face it, there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of pressure on these kids. Um, Darren, I'm curious, when you're in the huddle and you're in the game, what are you thinking about? Is it just what's the next play? What's the mentality for a guy like you when you're in the game?
All I really think about is when I'm in the huddle, just lead the team and win. I don't really care about what happens the last play. I'm really on to the next, regardless of mistakes, regardless of what happened. I don't really care about it. I'm just on to the next play.
Yeah. Who did you study growing up? I'm curious, like, were you a guy who watched games and just enjoyed them for what it was, or did you study other quarterbacks?
I didn't do none of that actually, to be honest. I just really played football and worked out.
Hmm. So you went out there and you were you, and it didn't matter. You didn't need to see somebody else do it.
Yeah, I didn't really like start looking at. I don't. I, till this day, I don't look into quarterbacks. I really don't care about how they play or nothing because
Hmm.
we're all not going to be the exact same. So I really just watch film on myself the most.
Excellent.
Just
Balin Trujillo here,
part
your
what I
your
got.
your quarterbacks coach has joined us. Balin, you told me when I saw Darren for the first time up at that camp, you said, "Hey man, this might be the best guy I've got of them all." And I know you started working with him when he was real young. Tell me about the first day you met Dereon and his father and Ed and what you saw in him from day one.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't lying. You were at the Elite 11. So this was arguably
Yeah.
the top talent in the entire state of Florida from all classifications. And you walked right up to me. Obviously, you were talking about Brady Hart, Noah Grubbs. And then I said, look, there's a kid right there that I just got done going to Oklahoma with. His name is Dereon Coleman. That's the kid you want to watch. And I
Hmm.
remember you were watching it. You looked at me like, oh my goodness, this kid, where does this kid come from? So
Right.
I always knew the gift he had. I mean, the first pass he ever threw to me hit me right in the chest. But it's funny because a lot of these Hurricane podcasts have heard the same story. I catch the ball. First, I was shocked at how well he threw it because his mechanics, mind you, he's with the same age group. So his
Yeah.
ball was completely different. And I'm like, okay, so when I caught it, obviously I was shocked. And then I felt the texture of the ball, and it was a composite ball. So I have a little funny thing that I do whenever a quarterback trains with me and they have a composite ball and it's not leather, I launch it and I say, go get it. And I don't explain the reason, but then I later say, like, composite is a lot different than leather. It's not real. So I launched it. He gets the ball. He skips the entire line when he gets back. He does the exact same thing, tries to throw it even harder at me. And
Wow.
I knew in that moment, like, this kid was different. And again, he didn't know in that moment right there that I was trying to break him mentally. And he didn't even know what he did wrong, but it was just the fact that I wanted to gain control of that crazy freak of nature I just seen. And I remember his dad comes after up to me after the camp. He's like, man, I ain't never seen nobody, do that to my son before. I actually like that. Let me get your number and let's see what we could do. So I was like, all right, perfect. And it was like a match made in heaven. I mean, it's one of the greatest stories I'll always carry with me. Not because he's a Miami Hurricane commit, because obviously I'm a big fan, but just to see where he has developed over the last 7 years together. It's just from this kid who was quiet, who had the beautiful smile with these beautiful pearly white teeth, to him wearing the different uniforms and the all the different matches of outfits he would wear in my trainings, to all the news articles and then traveling together. Like, it's just been a whole story that I've seen literally come together, and what you see right there in your screen, to being one of the top quarterbacks in the entire country, now committed to the University of Miami. So I mean, I just knew at 10 years old, like I said, you put a group of, and it was an all-star for an all-American FBU camp. So it wasn't like, I mean, some of these kids shouldn't have been there, let's be honest. But majority of those kids were competing to be in an all-American game. And everybody in his age group, when Dereon came up, it was like not even like on the same spectrum. Like, it was just
Yeah.
completely different. And what I've seen, I've been doing this business a long time, coaching in the Elite 11 for 6 years, seeing what it looks like. And at 10 years old, there's no way a kid should be throwing that good at that age, that early. So I already knew by that point this kid was going to be a generational talent, and sure enough, it's shaping out to be that way. But I have no shame, and everybody watches my podcast. I share with all the quarterbacks I train. That kid right there, Dereon Coleman, is the best arm talent I've ever trained, and it's not even close. And I'm talking, I've trained a lot of quarterbacks, and that kid right there is number one.
Yeah, he certainly has proven it, and this season look, you look at the numbers, his completion percentage 76%.
Unreal.
Just unbelievable. 13 touchdowns, only two interceptions. You're throwing for about 236 yards a game. You've also run for 140 yards and a touchdown. You need to in today's college football game, like what we're seeing from Cam Ward, for instance, at Miami. Like I think about that 3rd and 17 play the other day against Louisville. Most quarterbacks would be, oh, I got to throw it down the field. Cam Ward is so cerebral. It's, hey, I see there's an opening. The defense is playing, zone. They're playing deep. They're playing coverage. I'm going to take off and run. Bailey, maybe you can answer, or you, Darren, either one. But how much during the game do you see, like when you're out there, do you take off and do something similar? Hey, the defense is playing this way. I'm gonna take what the defense gives me, so to speak.
Yeah,
Good.
while I'm in the game, I see the whole field. We actually don't at Jones. I don't force nothing. We can't force nothing. We just take what they give us. If that's what answering your question.
Mm-hmm. Bailey,
Yeah, I see. Yeah, go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, you go
No,
ahead.
I just when I see Dereon play, I think we've trained him. At least I've trained him, and I know his dad did a really good job early on in his stages of development to be more reactive. So
Mm-hmm.
Dereon, if you watch how he plays, he's more of a reactive player. He's not a overthinker. He doesn't, question his ability to do this or that. He just what he sees, he reacts to it, which is my job for quarterbacks to do. I don't want you thinking. Everybody talks about, oh, you have to have muscle memory. Well, guys, the other day, muscles don't have memory. They don't. You want whatever they're doing to be a part of who they are and how they play the position at a consistent level. So if that's a part of what your game is, of just feeling the game and playing at your pace, that's what it's going to be. It's not a memory. It's just that's who you are. And if you watch how Dereon plays the game, he's very reactive. He sees something, he pulls the trigger. He doesn't like it, he's going to take off. He's actually, and what is so great about his game now is he's not forcing things because he knows he can pull the trigger. What does he do? He throws the ball away. He doesn't put the ball in harm's way. I believe both his picks were tip balls. Like, so they're technically, and one was a Hail Mary, one of the two.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not really a decision. He's in the, pocket making a wrong progression. It's, hey, Hail Mary, tip ball, pick. Okay, cool. But he's taking care of the football. He's throwing the ball away. That's maturity at a young age like him. He's understanding the game and what comes with that position. Last week, I mean, he played arguably one of the best teams in the entire state of Florida, went 15 for 20, 259 yards, and no touchdowns. Everybody, oh, no touchdowns, but he's take care of the ball. He almost threw 300 yards. I mean,
Yeah.
he's doing everything he can to play this position at a high level, which this is why I believe Dereon is the best quarterback in the country. You can't tell me a kid going against the competition he's playing with, because a lot of these kids hide behind competition. They go to small private schools and put up big numbers. No, we always had a plan for Dereon. Me and Mr. Coleman had a plan for Dereon. He was going to end up at Jones High School, which is the number one team in Orlando and top 10 in the state. And we're going to bet on him playing the best competition to prove why he's elite. And he's doing that. They're 7-0. It's not even close. I believe
Yeah.
they're going to finish the season undefeated, obviously one game at a time. But I just love where Dereon's trending, and he's proven why he earned 20 offers, splitting time last year to now being the guy committed to the University of Miami, who's now a top 10 program. So Dereon Coleman is elite.
Darian, I wanted to ask you, part of the reason you're here on the show is because you do have an NIL deal, I guess, with the network. They're helping you, sort of navigate NIL. It's a whole new thing now in the state of Florida this year, for high school athletes. Wasn't really a part of the thing until this year. What's it been like adjusting to thinking about all those other things? Before it was, hey, when you get to college, we'll worry about NIL. But now you got new opportunities, and the network is helping you sort of navigate that kind of stuff. I'm curious, do you have NIL deals? Are you doing any sort of NIL pitches right now? And what do you think about just sort of experiencing this even before you get to college?
Yes, I actually do have one NIL deal. It's really nothing for us. Just keep it on the same track, stay on the same focus. You can't let none of that distract you from what you got going on already. So you just got to be on the same page.
Cool.
It's
And
just to
and
be into a professional athlete early.
Yeah. What is the NIL deal in terms of the company, or what is it that you have to do? Because some people are like, hey, it's too much for kids to deal with, right? They're in high school, they can't handle it. But it seems to me that most of these NIL deals are manageable.
It was lead trading cards. Lead trading deal had to sign 3,000 cards in a certain amount of days.
Oh, that's cool. And how long did it take you? Did you get tired at all from doing the signatures, or you survived?
No, I survived. It took me only about 4 days.
All right, pretty cool. Dad, you got one of those cards? Did he save one for you?
Yeah, I got one.
I hope Balin got one too. Um, so
We'll
tell
wait
me,
for
Darian, tell me about maybe your goals for the rest of the season. Your team right now is 7-0. You came close to winning a state championship last year, got to the semifinals. Tell me just about what you feel like you want to improve at as a quarterback and what the goals are for you.
Improving, I don't really like. I'm not too much focused on it. I'm just really focused on winning my team to state, leading them to states, retiring my coach with a finally a ring, and just being the first quarterback to ever do it at Jones and get a ring.
Balin, I'm sure you coach him up hard and work with him. For the fans that are tuning in and watching this, uh, when I always get the question, Manny, you watch this kid. What does he need to get better at? What is, how does he need to grow as a player? What do you tell him as a coach?
Yeah, I just think that he needs to control what he can control, and that's getting in the weight room, taking care of his body, and staying healthy. So, those are the things that we're focusing on Dereon right now, getting more explosive in the weight room, putting some mass, physically. That way he's ready to compete when he gets to the University of Miami. Me and Dawson have a really good relationship, and it's because of that, really, Dereon sitting where he's at and getting that opportunity to meet with Dawson and get a relationship there. And Dawson says it. I mean, he texted me this morning. He is the next Cameron Ward. And I know we don't compare, and he doesn't like to compare his game to a lot of people because he believes he's by himself, which he has every right to feel that way. But I do believe he is the next what we're looking at as generational talent that we see in Cameron Ward, the way he plays and how he controls the game within himself and how he plays. He plays to his pace and he understands the game. So right now, we've already got really all the training and developing. We're just polishing it up when he trains with me here and there, and then also making sure he stays healthy and staying in that weight room. We've partnered with a couple different programs right now through the NIL and through the network that's helping shape his body. That way, when he goes in there January and the next year and a half, he's ready to compete right away. And we're not wasting no time with this. I believe, and I know he believes, and I know Potts believes that if we get him right on the right track as far as his weight, he's getting bigger, faster, stronger, smarter the next year and a half. There's no reason why he can't take over when he's a true freshman with the University of Miami, or at least competing for it. But his time's coming.
Yeah, you told me when I saw you, you're like, hey, mom and dad are tall. He's gonna grow some more. I'm curious, Darren, how much have you grown? Because you're still what, 16 years old, right?
No, I'm 17.
17, I'm sorry. So you're 17 years old. How much have you grown? What is the height and weight now? Because I know that's gonna be a question everybody says. You didn't ask him about his height and weight.
Height weight is actually 6 foot 165.
Okay. And how hard, I know for some guys it can be difficult, right, to add weight, especially with how much you work out, you run, you train, all the things that you do. How hard has it been for you to just add the pounds? Has it been hard or a slow process?
It's actually been very hard, especially trying to do it during the season, working out every week, 2 days a week, eating every day, trying to eat four meals a day. It's actually very hard.
Yeah. What's a typical Dereon Coleman diet? I want people. I've heard the Rock's diet. He eats all that salmon and fish and all that stuff. What is Dereon Coleman when you pound 4 meals a day? What are you putting in your body?
I really don't even have a diet. I just eat whatever is on in the kitchen.
Dad, it keeps you busy. Are you the cook? Mom's the cook? Who's the cook at the house?
Hey, he love eating chicken. He can eat
I
chicken 4 times a day.
He could. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Good. Good. Um, hey, let's spin this forward a little bit. You mentioned Shannon Dawson earlier, Balin Trujillo. I'm curious, Darion, how many times have you been down to Miami since the season started? Have you had a chance yet to go to any games? And will you be going to any games?
Uh, the first home game I'm going to is actually going to be this week, Miami versus Florida State. So I will be down there.
What are you hoping to get out of it? Because these guys are 7-0, number six in the country. Everybody's excited about them. What are you looking to see in the crowd?
I'm just hoping to see everything I've been seeing on social media. What Miami has been doing on the field. The fans just enjoying the fans, see how they really are.
Cool. What's next for you in terms of games and the regular season? How close are we to the playoffs? You're 7-0, so I gotta imagine playoffs are just around the corner.
Yeah, we're 3 more games away from the playoffs. Number one seed.
Number one seed. Okay, so that's what you guys are trying to wrestle down. Hey, what's Mario Cristobal like, man? I don't know how often you've had a chance to sit and talk with him. Obviously, you talk to Shannon Dawson a lot. He's the coordinator. But tell me about your experience with Mario Cristobal because he's the guy who's built this thing at Miami.
Coach CB, he's really a family guy. He's family friendly. He really wants to make sure you're straight. If you got any problems, you get him up anytime. Make sure he's not doing nothing. Of course, he's the head coach. He'll be busy all the time, but no, he's actually a family guy.
Nice. And Cam Ward, have you had a chance to interact with him much?
No, not yet, but I will be having a conversation, speaking to him at for the state game.
Awesome. Awesome. And Dad, I gotta imagine schools are still blowing up Balin and you to try to get him to change his mind, right?
Hey, I let Baylor handle all that. I don't like being bothered, so nobody calling me.
Well, now I gotta ask Balin the question as he comes back on here with his son. Balin, quick question for you, man. I just asked Ed. There's a lot of schools I'm sure that are still trying to get you to convince Dereon to go elsewhere. Who are the schools that are still calling you the most, trying to get him to change his mind?
Well, I mean, there's plenty of schools that I don't want to put anybody on blast here, but just know there's plenty of schools hitting my phone up to get Dereon Coleman to switch. I know, obviously, UCF was a tough one. They really want him to be the hometown hero.
Yeah,
I have a really good relationship with Coach Henshaw. Obviously, that was a school that really recruited him hard. Oklahoma's still out there. That was one of his final two. But there's several programs that have reached out to me. I don't want to put them on blast. He's a Hurricane. That's where we're
yeah.
going, and we're not looking anywhere else. So he's a Hurricane as long as I'm around. That's for sure.
Is there a chance you enroll early, Darion, academically? Are you trying to get in January, or what's kind of the plan with that?
Yes, sir. I'm definitely going to enroll December.
Awesome, awesome. And Dad, how good is he with his homework and everything else? Because being a student athlete is a tough job nowadays, especially when you're so committed to sports.
4.0
Man,
GPA.
4.0. All right, thank you, Darion. Good,
yeah,
good.
he manages his time well between practice, workouts, and come home. And I know he'd be tired, but he get into his books.
Good, good. I got to get him to talk to my 13-year-old daughter then, man, because her and her soccer, man, I get to fight sometimes to get her to do her homework. So I'm gonna have to get him on the phone with her. Guys, I appreciate you coming on the podcast, doing the show with me. Is there anything, Darian, you want to plug? Anything you want people to know about you or to check out in terms of your NIL and what you're about?
No, sir. I'm good.
You good? All right. And if people want to get one of those cards, where do they get them?
Uh, hey, Dad, where do you get them?
He got Ice Baylor.
Hey, don't worry. The network advisory will take care of that.
All
We
right.
talk to them for sure. But
All right.
hey, this is an opportunity for you to actually meet Dereon in person and get an autograph yourselves. If you want to see him at the game this Saturday, we'll all be there. I'm excited to take Dereon. This is his first Hurricanes game ever, along with his dad. So I've been to obviously several of them, and obviously this is Florida State, Miami. This don't get bigger than this. So I'm excited to bring my son, who just woke up from a nap, his first ever Hurricanes game. So this will be his first game with Dereon's first game. I think there's a match made in heaven here. It's something that we're gonna look into the future of being a Hurricane when he's about 17 years old, just like Dereon and committing. So I've already put it in the works. But yeah, if you want to meet Dereon, we'll be there early on Saturday. Around 4 o'clock with the coaches. Hopefully, you get a chance to meet Cam Ward. We'll be with Coach Dawson until the game. We'll be on the sideline. So, if you want to check us out, be sure to be at the game. But like I said, I'm excited to experience that with Dereon and my family for the first game for all those people involved in this with Mr. Coleman's family and stuff. So it's going to be an exciting time this Saturday. So if you don't want to wait for those trading cards to get his autograph, I'm sure he'll be there. He loves doing that. All right, Dereon, he loves signing those autographs. But we'll get used to taking pictures and autographs, and it starts this Saturday.
All right. Well, if you want to check out what the network is doing, just go to www.thenetworkadvisory.com. They've got some other athletes that are a part of their program as well. They might be coming on the Wide Right podcast soon. So, but for now, thank you, Darian. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Balin, for coming on the Wide Right podcast, and look forward to seeing you on Saturday at the game.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Thank you for
guys.
having us.
Thanks for coming on. Take care.
Yeah.